Welcome to WPTV's special coverage, remembering the lives and service of Deputy Sheriff Ralph Waller, Corporal Luis Paez, and Deputy Ignacio Diaz.
Good morning, I'm Michael Williams.
And I'm Shannon Cate, coming to you live from just outside this memorial service, about to get underway in about an hour and a half from now.
We're at the South Florida Fairgrounds out off Southern Boulevard, for those of you unfamiliar who live outside of Palm Beach County. Many thousands of law enforcement officers from around the region, of course, but also around the state and indeed the country will be here for the service. You can see way in the distance the I Think Amphitheater. That is where law enforcement officers have been gathering for the last several hours for the memorial services for the three fallen PBSO deputies, all veteran motormen, seasoned veterans who were mortally injured while doing traffic patrol nearly 2 weeks ago on Southern Boulevard out between Lion Country Safari area, Pratt Whitney. As you look at the funeral home right now, Palms West, the funeral home where the procession will begin, while they were doing patrol out on Southern Boulevard between the Bend and Pratt Whitney Boulevard, were hit by an SUV as they were waiting for help. One of their vehicles no longer working at that point. They were waiting for help when an SUV slammed into them, claiming the lives ultimately of these three veteran deputies. As we look on at the scene of the procession set to begin shortly, that will come here to the I Think Amphitheater. And I should note, as we're looking on, Governor Ron DeSantis among those expected to be in attendance. There's been word off and on of the possibility that President-elect Trump would be here, not verified that one way or the other. Families will be here with their loved ones, in one case speaking directly to the assembled. In other cases, the colleagues of the fallen deputies will be those speaking to the assembled this day.
And you're looking, as Michael mentioned, live at the images coming out of the parking lot at Palms West Funeral Home, not far from I Think, and already a poignant moment as you see family and law enforcement gathering in that parking lot. And here as well, Michael, as law enforcement, as you noted, from all over. We've seen law enforcement officers from New York, California, and then, of course, all across Florida, agencies representing them all, packing the amphitheater in preparation for this memorial today.
Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, I mentioned him earlier. Let's listen to what he had to say in part as we approach this day and this memorial service.
This is tough on the agency. It's tough when one deputy dies, but three at one time is, number one, it's never happened in the 100-year history of this agency. You very seldom see this. In 2008, we had two deputies killed in a traffic accident there, and I thought we'd never see that again. You know, you can train the deputies to deal with bad guys. You can train the deputies for traffic stops. You can train the deputies for high-speed chases, how to deal with people. There is no training for this at all. They never saw it coming. They never had a chance to do any evasive action. They never had a chance to try to save themselves. They had their backs to the vehicle that eventually took their lives.
Well, let's go back to Todd for this very difficult moment there at Palms West Funeral Home as law enforcement motormen surround these hearses, and we're told that family also accompanying the hearses right now. Todd, what can you tell us from your vantage point?
Well, Shannon and Michael, I'm standing here and I'm looking at this, and to me, the only way that I can describe this is that it's a beautiful sight in a sad situation. To see the motorcycles pulling out and the hearses following them, the way that they are showing respect to their fallen comrades, to the love and the respect that they have for them, and the organization of getting them to move forward. It is beautiful to see this. You really get a feeling standing out here with, there's a number of folks that have come from the neighborhood that are watching this, and getting to stand out here and watch it, you hear the roar of the motorcycle, and you know that these men and women, they're sad, they're hurting.
And our Joel Lopez, he's along the route right now, taking in the images that we're seeing on the screen. Joel?
That's right, Shannon. I think how you mentioned it is exactly the sentiment that I'm getting here. Very slowly, we're seeing a lot of people from the community start coming out to the street to pay their respects. Like you're saying, this is an area where these deputies patrolled. You know, these are their friends, their family, areas that they were here every day. And I mean, you know, the site of the crash is really about like just 7 miles west of where we're standing. So this is, you know, a really somber moment for everybody that's out here, for all this amazing, overwhelming amount of law enforcement that's out here right now. We're seeing the procession make its way through. I know this is going to be doing a bit of a square route. The amphitheater is actually the opposite direction of where we see this motorcade headed. But like you said, this is their way to kind of give back to the community so that they can say their final goodbyes.
And as we look along this route, Kayla McDermott is part of our team covering the motorcade, and she joins us live now. Kayla.
Shannon, Michael, it's very emotional out here. People are all lined up and down the street as those hearses just passed by, as you can see now. They're standing in the cold. Some people told me that they missed work today to come out here to be part of their community. Even those on the other side of the street who are stuck in traffic, they don't look upset or bothered because they know how big of a moment this is. They're all just watching. Everyone has some tears in their eyes. And I can tell you, as somebody who comes from a family of law enforcement, my mother and father were both officers in New York. You know every day when they leave that something like this could happen, that your mother, father, brother, sister might not come home. And when it actually happens, like you can see here, it's heartbreaking. But to know that your brother and sisters in blue will come together like this, such a huge display of love and affection for the family, for these fallen deputies, it's truly remarkable. As we see even more motorcycles pass by us right now, we've seen hundreds that passed by before, and now it looks as though hundreds more are coming through. And it really is just so emotional. And everyone I'm seeing is silent as these people are passing by, as these officers pass by. There's American flags out here as well. And I do want to mention something else, is that we're in front of a PBSO substation, and every single person who has driven by us has had to pass a sign that says Happy Holidays. And that's something that I think that we can all appreciate a bit of, how the vast majority of us celebrate Thanksgiving with our families. Christmas is coming up soon, and these officers, these deputies' families had to go through a Thanksgiving without them. It's just so heartbreaking and tough. But I do want to pass over to my colleague, Brooke. Brooke?
Yeah, good morning, Kayla. We arrived here at this intersection on Okeechobee Boulevard and State Route 7 at around 3:45 this morning. You could just see a live look right now of this incredible procession that's taking place for these three fallen deputies. These motorcycles are loud, but the silence here is even more loud. People paying their respects, honoring these three heroes that are taken to these streets right now for this procession, the streets that they served every single day. True heroes here in Palm Beach County.
We're looking on as residents have spilled out as well to pay their respects throughout this day. Again, the culmination of the processional has now occurred, and those who participated in this morning's procession have now made their way here to the South Florida Fairgrounds.
A somber salute to three fallen Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies.
They seem to have been really great people.
We all have to stick with each other and be united.
A community and all of law enforcement in mourning.
When a law enforcement officer dies, a part of the community dies with him.
Thousands, including President-elect Donald Trump, paying respects to the men of the motorcycle unit.
He taught me more than motorcycle skills. He taught me about integrity, kindness, and the importance of showing up for each other.
Deputy Ralph Butch Waller, Corporal Luis Paez, and Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz.
Life is short. Treat every day as if it's your last. Tell your loved ones that you love them every single day.
Family, friends, a community honoring three heroes who dedicated their lives to serving and protecting us.
I thank God for these men. I thank God for each of your families, for sharing these patriots with us.
Tonight we remember their lives and honor their duty as a heartbroken community joins for a final goodbye.
4, Motor 7, and motor 18, R10-7. Palm Beach is clear.
Good evening, I'm Michael Williams.
And I'm Shannon Cake.
We sit outside the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office headquarters, and over our shoulders, the U.S. flag flying at half-staff. And sadly, 3 more names to be added to the fallen deputies' memorial behind us. Family, law enforcement, and law enforcement was very much their professional family. Gathered today to say their final goodbyes to 3 fallen Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies, all fatally injured November 21st when an SUV hit them as they waited on the side of the road on Southern Boulevard in Loxahatchee for a broken down motorcycle to be repaired.
A tragic day that galvanized all of us in this community. A public memorial was held today for them at I Think Financial Amphitheater for Sheriff's Deputy Ralph Butch Waller, Corporal Luis D. Paez, and Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz. That memorial to honor these 3 fallen officers gone too soon. It was a day of flyovers and tributes, tears and special salutes as well. Today we remembered them as fathers and sons, husbands, heroes, all of them.
We have team coverage of these fallen heroes, and we will remember always the daughter who spoke today on behalf of her dad, one of the 3 deputies who died. Law enforcement grieves, and at the same time, law enforcement and this community honor these deputies who patrolled and protected our roadways throughout their long careers. And we're dedicating this half-hour broadcast to these law enforcement heroes. We'll begin with Matt Cesney with more on today's memorial service.
It was impossible not to shed a tear during the service here at the amphitheater, a 2-hour service that had respect and honor for those 3 fallen PBSO deputies. The caskets draped in American flags rested before the thousands who attended, law enforcement from across Florida and many other states. The mourning families on one side of the stage, and on the other, President-elect Donald Trump and Governor Ron DeSantis. Congressman Brian Mast delivered a forceful tribute.
Corporal Paez, Deputy Waller, and Deputy Diaz, they were not timid. They were lions. They rode each day with a badge, body armor, and a pistol to keep everyone safe.
Several fellow deputies spoke of the men and tried to make sense of the loss.
Has no reasonable explanation for why it happened. To try and search for one is simply wasted energy.
Perhaps the most heartbreaking moment came with Alexandria Diaz, the daughter of Deputy Ignacio Diaz.
Last Thursday, it was my grandmother's birthday. I woke up to wish her a happy birthday, and the next call I got was a call that I had to get on the plane immediately because my dad had been in an accident.
She spoke of being raised by her single dad, the life lessons, and the strength she found on the stage.
And to my dad, to my daddy, we had a saying that we said to each other my entire life, and I've said it throughout this entire week to him while he was in the ICU and in his private service. I would love you. You're my life. You're my world. You're my everything.
Others spoke about Corporal Paez's love of travel and photography and Deputy Waller's sense of humor and easy manner. And as helicopters flew overhead and honor guards folded the casket flags, there was a strong sense of unity behind the tears.
It's so sad for the 3. That's what's remarkable about today. They just put on a beautiful ceremony service, really touching.
It's a very emotional event, and to have 3 families to have to endure such a grave loss, it's heartbreaking, and you can't sit still and not feel not only the emotion but the outpouring of love. We felt a lot of love from the community.
Their years, indeed decades of service protecting you and me, our roadways, and today a motorcade with hundreds, perhaps 1,000 or more motorcycles escorting the three caskets of these three fallen heroes through the very communities that they had served.
It was really something quite remarkable to witness. And WPTV's Joel Lopez, he was watching along that procession route today, along with so many others, along Southern Boulevard and Okeechobee Boulevard this morning, as people gathered throughout our area to honor these three motormen.
Today's been such an emotional day for everyone that knew the deputies, but also for those that didn't, as they stood alongside one another along the procession route to say one final goodbye.
A procession like this.
Thunderous roars of motorcycle engines.
Yeah, it definitely makes you stop and look.
Filled with law enforcement from around the state.
Always pray for them.
Led the way for three fallen PBSO deputies.
Just the family, I'm so sorry for that.
As they make one final pass through of the areas they dedicated their lives to serving.
The last week, it's been very humbling.
And people they swore to protect.
We count on them every day.
Some who didn't know the deputies.
It's definitely sad.
Joined by those who did.
Were you part of the procession?
I was watching it with my family.
Saying goodbye to three fallen brothers, fathers, husbands, and sons.
I can only imagine the pain that they're going through.
As they heal through a tremendous loss.
It just exposes the reality.
As loud as thunder.
The reality of death.
In Palm Beach County.
The final moments of things.
Joel Lopez.
Not every day is guaranteed for you.
WPTV News.
So many and so often with tears in their eyes watching the procession for these three fallen deputies this day.
Hundreds came out along these roadways today. The procession route passed right along Okeechobee Boulevard. WPTV's Kayla McDermott, she stood right alongside residents here in our community who wanted to stop on this day and show their support.
One of those paying respects also shared a brief, meaningful moment, a chance at some point to have met one of the three deputies.
Onlookers could hear the roar of the motorcycles before the procession fully made it to where they were standing on Okeechobee Boulevard.
It gave me chills, just very sad.
As hundreds of bikes, cruisers, and then the three hearses passed by, carrying Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, Deputy Sheriff Ralph Butch Waller, and Corporal Luis Paez, it was tough to not get emotional.
They're heroes every day, 24 hours a day. I like to see the brotherhood, and it was just great to see that.
The community held American flags and one another throughout the procession. Mark Pawlowski shared a brief but fond memory with me from when he met Deputy Waller.
Being pulled over by Butch was a whole different experience because of how friendly he was. Yeah, so they're going to be missed.
Can you tell me a little bit more about him?
Very friendly guy. I would see him at our special events in the community and stuff, and always took the time to have a good conversation with you, too.
He said the procession, which spanned 10 miles throughout Palm Beach County, was exactly the kind of memorial the deputies deserved.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a tragedy, the way that they both passed, or all three of them passed. Very unexpected. And, they're out there trying to make the community safer. And then they're the ones that suffered the consequences of that accident.
In Royal Palm Beach, Kayla McDermott, WPTV News.
Fitting that this procession route, the final lap, if you will, wound right through the very communities that they served in for so many years. We'll be right back.